All right. The pollsters really don't know what's going to happen tonight. And I have been a defender of polling to the extent that we understand the methodology being used. You might remember that the right loves to say the pollsters got it really wrong in 2016. They really didn't. The national popular vote polls said it would be a 3-point margin by which Hillary would win. And Hillary won by a little over 2 points in the national popular vote. The polling was correct, but it did not correctly get the electoral vote because that came down to very small margins in a few states. So the general overarching attacks on polling, I'm not big on them. They're not super interesting to me. But it is true that in these particular midterms, the polls may not reflect what's going to happen tonight. There's a very good Daily Beast article called "Pollsters Have No Effing Idea What's Going to Happen This Election." And it says pollsters and election handicappers are very worried they could be wrong in decisive ways for the 2022 midterms. Now, this is a result of two big things. Number one, the margins, particularly in the Senate, are expected to be very small. So when your most likely outcome is one party has 51 seats or the other party has 51 seats, that's already a range that only comes down to a couple of seats. Many of these races are super close. Oz Fetterman is a tie. Walker Warnock is a tie. That's your Senate right there. That's your, all else being equal, those two races that are ties determine who controls the Senate. So because it's very close, even a small margin of error can be one party controls the Senate or another party controls the Senate. The other thing that's going on is that there are growing issues, and you can read the article, we'll link to it. There are growing issues with the polling in two particular ways. A lot of the aggregators like Real Clear Politics are using a lot of overtly right-wing pollsters in their calculations. So just for example, like if you look at Walker Warnock, you see that Trafalgar is being included in the average. Trafalgar is a known right-leaning pollster. So is that throwing off the numbers? That's one thing. And then number two, to some degree, a lot of people don't pick up calls from unknown numbers at all anymore. And there is starting to be, aside from the stuff that's done online, for the phone stuff, there's starting to potentially be a sort of self-selection bias in the people that are interested in getting on the phone and talking to a pollster. And it can include people who want to sway the polls in a particular way. Okay. So the point here is it's election day, ignore the polls, but also the polls really may not be telling us what's going to happen tonight. Now, here's the danger of this right-wing skew to the polls, if indeed there is one. We're going to look at clips later. The right is telling us they're going to claim fraud. They're going to do it. They're going to claim fraud. And one of the ways they may claim that fraud is by saying, did you see the polls leading up to the election? You expect us to believe that despite the polls, all these Democrats won. Now, these are the very same people who in elections past say you can't trust the polls. But they are going to weaponize this right-wing push polling to say, look at the polls and look at what you tell us was the actual vote. That's not believable. It must have been rigged. That's the danger. We will have results in a few hours, and then we can put the polling question aside. We talk about it all the time. One of the biggest contributors to climate change is deforestation. Did you know that 15% of deforestation is due to toilet paper production alone, according to the NRDC? That's why I love our sponsor, Real Paper. Real Paper makes a sustainable toilet paper, no trees. It uses 100% bamboo. A bamboo stock can keep being harvested indefinitely. No deforestation. Real Paper is certified by the Forest Stewardship Council for responsible harvesting of the bamboo grass used for their paper. Another contributor to climate change, the plastic that the toilet paper comes wrapped in. That's why Real Paper involves no plastic packaging. And best of all, Real Paper looks and feels just like normal traditional toilet paper. The cost is similar. It is fantastic. On their website, you can do a one-time purchase or set up an easy recurring subscription the way that I did. My audience gets 30% off your first order plus free shipping. Go to realpaper.com/Pacman and use the code Pacman at checkout. The link is down below.